Today is February 24th, 2011, and we're interviewing Mr. Dale Barr at Buena Vista University. And Mr. Barr was born in January 9th of 1927. He is 84 years old. My name is Bill Feis. I'll be the interviewer along with Lindsey Peterson. When did you enlist, or were you drafted into the service?
Drafted.
Which branch of the service were you in?
Infantry.
Infantry. What year were you drafted?
45. April 15th.
Okay. Where did you do your training? Did you go to training?
The worst place in the world. Arkansas.
I agree. What was training like?
Yeah?
What was training like? What sorts of, what do you remember most about the training?
Training?
Yeah. In Arkansas.
I didn't see anything very good down there.
When you did your basic training for infantry, it was hot, I imagine. Did they have you, how long were you in training? Was it?
6 months.
6 months. You remember anything about it? Anything humorous or interesting from that experience? Or?
Well, it was hot. Good thing I was young. A lot of middle-aged guys couldn't take the marching.
But you survived the training, and where did you go after you trained? Where did they send you?
Well, I ended up in Japan. I don't know Hokkaido. Sapporo City.
Were you there for when the war was over, were you there for the occupation of
Yeah.
Japan? When did you arrive in Japan? Do you remember? Was it shortly after the war ended, or?
I went over there in October, following basic training.
What was your impression of Japan when you arrived, when you first got there?
The worst place in the world.
Why was that?
Well, for one thing, I went through that atomic bomb place, and there was nothing left but tin. Railroad tracks were left.
Now, did you go over? Did the Army send you to see? Was it Hiroshima that you went to, or Nagasaki?
I think Yokohama. I think we got.
Did you go on your own to go see where the atomic bomb was? Did you?
Oh no, the troop train went through there.
What sorts of things did they have you do during the occupation? What kind of duties did you have?
Oh, they put me on a reconnaissance at the 77th Infantry, and I was in a reconnaissance, driving a truck. weasel and ducks.
Did you have much contact with Japanese civilians while you were there? Did you have any trouble with Japanese civilians while you were there?
No.
So when you did reconnaissance, was that? Can you tell me a little bit about the sorts of things that you did on reconnaissance?
Well, it was winter time, and there was snow as high as the roof, so there wasn't much to do.
Were you involved in any confrontations?
Huh?
Were you involved in any confrontations?
No.
No.
Did you see any? Were the Japanese? Did they accept that you were there, or did they seem to be angry about Americans being there, or did they just accept it from your?
I never had any trouble with any of them.
How long did you serve in the occupation? How long were you there?
6 months.
Were you glad to go home?
You bet I was.
What did you do when you got home? Were you still in the service? Did you stay in, or were you discharged?
I got discharged December 30th in 46.
What'd you do after that?
I loafed for let's see. In the spring, I went on a paving gang outfit.
So you worked for the roads department?
I don't remember the name of the company or anything, but I'd say 3 months of that.
When you think back on your time when you were in Japan, does anything come to your mind you think of that you recall occurred, or that you saw, or that was humorous, or anything else that still kind of sticks with you to this day about your experience?
The whole country stinks,
Like what?
and I never missed that. Every time I smell an onion, I think of that.
Is that right? It smelled like onions. Did you get to eat much of the food, or did you live on army chow?
Army. Of course, we didn't have no choice then.
Can I just ask you again, when you went through where the atomic bomb dropped, if you can just, you said that there was nothing but tin and railroads. Anything else you
Nothing,
recall?
absolutely nothing.
How did you feel about the atomic bomb being dropped?
Well, I suppose like everybody else. It happened, it happened.
Did you feel
It ended the war.
Did you feel that same way when you saw the destruction it caused? Did that make you change your mind or think differently about it, or?
No.
When you were drafted, had you just turned 18 Had you just come of age when you were drafted?
Well, I was 18. And went to Fort Snelling for a physical, Minnesota.
How did you feel when you got drafted? What was your first thought when you heard that you were being drafted?
I thought it was the best day in the world.
Really?
I hated school.
It got you out of school, so it was okay.
Did you feel the same way after you started your training?
No. I didn't like the training either, but it's got to be, so.
What was a typical training day?
Yeah?
What did you do in your training? What was a typical day? Like, what did they do to train you to get ready for the occupation of Japan?
Well, from daylight to the long days. You start in the morning when it gets light, and usually when it gets sunsets.
So you were in school up until you were drafted in 1945.
Right.
What did you think when Pearl Harbor was bombed? Do you recall where you were and what you felt when that happened in 1941?
My dad had a station, Phillips 66, there at Elda. And we had ice. And we had an ice route. I took care of that.
So that's you were on that route when you heard about Pearl Harbor being bombed. Is that?
No, I was running the station then. The ice came along later on.
Were you pretty shocked when you heard?
Well, yeah, everybody was.
But you weren't old enough to
No.
to enlist. Did you want to enlist at that moment if you could have?
No. I turned 16. I went to work for Anderson Brothers at the trucking outfit, hauled grain and hogs.
Did you
And I went to the Army from there. So
Did you follow the war in the newspapers as it was from 41 until you were drafted? Did you read about it in the newspapers? Did you, or how did you?
oh, Hitler was, he was the topic of all the newspapers.
So you followed as you were in school, which you didn't like very much. You
Yeah.
followed all the papers while you were in school, and how when as the war was going along, did that make you want to join as you got towards your draft age? Would you have preferred to enlist, or did you just wait till you were drafted?
No. I knew where I was going, so I didn't get too excited about it.
you were on a troop ship over to Japan. Is that right? Did you take on a ship to go to Japan?
Both ways.
Both ways. What do you remember about?
5,000 people on the boat.
It's a little crowded. Do you recall how long it took?
2 weeks. Both ways.
What did you do to pass the time on the ship?
There was nothing to do. Look at the water.
The water. Did you play cards or anything like that?
Oh yeah, crap games and cards and
Anything to pass the time.
yeah.
Is there anything else? You said you told us you didn't do anything great, but it sounds like you did all kinds of things. But is there anything else that when you think of your service?
Wasn't great to me.
I can understand that. Well, what are you most proud of from your service when you think back on it? What do you think you're most proud of what you did in your service? It's your proudest moment, or what you think of most proudly.
Can't think of nothing.
That's fair. Well, you went to a long ways away from home and served in
As far as you can get.
as far as you can get, and you were in a place very, very different from Iowa. That's for sure. Japan, I'm sure. Did
Yep.
you see any similarities? Anything that you saw in Japan that reminded you of home, or was it so different it just didn't? It was.
Didn't care.
Didn't care.
There's snow on the ground and when you got there, and there's snow when you left, so you didn't really see the outline of the country.
Did it get as cold as it does here? So that was like home, huh?
Cold, yes. Get to walk guard every night,
In the
carrying
snow.
that damn M1.
Sounds like you didn't enjoy that very much.
You know,
Is that what you spent most of the time doing? A lot of guard duty?
well, I'd say half the time.
Did you ever have any trouble at all? Did anybody try to get past you, or did you have any incidents?
No, really didn't.